Happy Friday, everyone. We're back with episode 2 of Showtime Moto Talk to discuss the exciting night of racing we had Saturday night in Tampa. Today we're going to look at the top 5 stories coming out of Tampa in both the 450 and 250 classes, before looking at 3 riders that had lackluster performances in Tampa that we expect to bounce back tomorrow night in Detroit. We kick things off in the 450 class with what was probably the biggest story of the night. In the main event, Malcolm Stewart battled his way through the top 10 to claim his first 450 win in his 109th career start in the class. Malcolm showed great speed through the whoops that was reminiscent of his brother James in the past. It was great to see the broadcast give Malcolm his time in the limelight after his long career with many ups and downs. This win has catapulted Malcolm into 6th place in the 450 standings, and hopefully he can carry some momentum into Detroit and insert himself into the battle for the championship. From a championship perspective, Tampa was a very good night for Cooper Webb. He did not get off to a great start in the main event, but was able to battle his way through the pack up to second. After the race, he discussed how he tried to latch on to Malcolm Stewart as they worked their way through the pack, but eventually lost Malcolm. Nonetheless, this second place finish has Cooper Webb sitting second in the points and only 5 points back of Chase Sexton for the title lead. Cooper will be looking to continue this consistent riding in Detroit with the aim of winning another 450 championship. Chase Sexton looked great in his heat race win in Tampa, and he got off to a great start in the main event with the whole shot. Chase then built over a 6-second lead on second place and looked like he was going to walk away with the main event win before he started making mistakes and eventually went down in the whoops and going on to finish 5th in the main event. It's unclear whether the mistakes were due to arm pump, being tired, pressure from Malcolm Stewart, or an issue with the bike. Nonetheless, Chase Sexton left Tampa with the red plate and the points lead. Chase will be looking to rebound tomorrow night in Detroit to cement himself as the championship favorite. Tampa Supercross was certainly a day to forget for Supercross legend Eli Tomac. Eli had an incident in qualifying which resulted in what was believed to be a bruised calf and sprained ankle. Eli went on to race the heat and main event but appeared to be significantly impaired. Unfortunately, we received news this week that Tomac was found to have actually sustained a broken fibula and will likely miss the rest of the Supercross season. This is very unfortunate news as Eli appeared to be riding well and getting back to prime Eli Tomac form. Like Tomac, Tampa Supercross was less than ideal for Hunter Lawrence. Hunter crashed near the finish line in the heat race and appeared to hit his shoulder and head. Unfortunately, in the crash, Hunter suffered a shoulder injury requiring surgery that will end his Supercross season. Hopefully we'll see Hunter back on the gate for Pro Motocross and the SMX playoffs where we seen him thrive last year. Now we will be transitioning to the 250 class. Tampa was an excellent start to the season for Star Racing Yamaha's Max Anstey. Max was the top qualifier in the 250 class and went on to win his heat race and the main event. Max looked very comfortable on the bike in his Supercross debut for the team and will be looking to be the first rider this year to win back-to-back races. Daxton Bennett also had a great night in Tampa for the Star Racing Yamaha team by securing his second place finish in the main event. Unfortunately, we learned that Bennett suffered a crash this week in training and will not be racing in Detroit. Hopefully we'll see him back on the gate in Daytona and battling for another good finish. One of the most impressive rides in Tampa was Cameron McAdoo. Despite racing with a torn ACL, McAdoo was able to put his Pro Circuit Kawasaki on the podium with a 3rd place finish. With the torn ACL, McAdoo is likely not able to ride as much as he would like to during the week, but hopefully we will still see him performing well at the races. Coming back from a wrist injury, RJ Hampshire looked great in qualifying in his heat race win in Tampa. However, a bad start and getting stuck on a tough block resulted in an 18th place finish in the main event. RJ will be looking for a good finish tomorrow night to reignite his championship hopes. Pierce Brown looked great in his debut for Star Racing Yamaha and was leading the main event before crashing in the whoops. Brown unfortunately suffered a broken vertebrae as a result of the crash and is likely out for the rest of the Supercross season. We wish Pierce a speedy recovery on his journey back to racing. This leads us into our discussion of 3 riders who had lackluster performances in Tampa, who we think will bounce back in Detroit. The first rider we expect to improve in Detroit is Austin Forkner. In Tampa, Forkner seemed to be struggling in qualifying, which carried over into the night show with a 17th place finish. It was difficult to tell whether this was due to not being comfortable on the new bike or rust from not racing in a year, but we expect Forkner to improve in Detroit. Tampa Supercross was not ideal for title hopeful Levi Kitchen. Levi seemed to be riding tight on Saturday and making uncharacteristic mistakes. This might have been due to lingering effects of being ill or riding tight by putting too much pressure on himself to win. Levi was able to salvage a 9th place finish in the main event, and we expect him to be battling for the podium in Detroit. Ken Roczen was riding well in the Tampa main event and appeared to be on his way to another top 5 finish. However, colliding with a lapper in the sand section led to a DNF for Kickstart Kenny. Hopefully Kenny is able to put this race behind him and bounce back in Detroit. Kenny is only 18 points back of the championship lead in the 450 class, and a good finish in Detroit will put him right back in the title picture. That concludes episode 2 of Showtime Moto Talk. If you made it this far, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, or a comment of what your most memorable moment was from Tampa Supercross, or your predictions for Detroit Supercross tomorrow night. Thanks, and see you all in episode 3.